can find me on the link available in this presentation. So this is our Facebook page just for this systematic literature review. So because we are going to, we are planning for extending this researcher network only focus on systematic literature review and then meta-analysis and advanced level meta-analysis. This is the second workshop of this series. I will tell you at the end of this workshop how we are going to move forward for rest of the classes. So stay with me, and if any question you can post in the description or in the chat session. So any question you want to ask me, you can write here. I will try to answer that question within the limited time. But remember, today it's basically it is also Ramadan, so we'll try to conclude our session within 1 hour. So stay with me and try to link up yourself with the internet available facilities, and then also we need this Microsoft Excel today because we are going to work a lot on this Microsoft Excel. So let's see. These are some of the journals which offered us free publication for any research paper produced from this workshop. So we'll see if we receive any research article, we will try to review and publish in these journals and also some other journals. So learning outcomes for today's is very simple. We have 5 basic learning outcomes. The first one is we are going to see the data extraction. In the past class, after this our last workshop, most of the participants, they asked me how we can collect data from Google Scholar and export it to Excel sheet, because most of us, we don't have access to Scopus. So at that time I told you some different option, but later on I received those queries again and again. So I thought I will find some way through which you can directly export data from Google Scholar to Excel sheet and work like we are doing from Scopus and all that. So this method I already investigated. I'll try to teach you today, and this method can work in any website, any non-structured database, and any other option. So non-structured, any database, Google Scholar, or any websites available where you can find data, we can just extract and export that data. You need a tool. I will tell you how we can do that, but in the later part. But the first, I will start with this question because many of the participants from Pakistan, from Iraq, from Gulf countries, and also India, Bangladesh, they asked me, we don't have access to Scopus and any other database, so we'll try to learn this method. The second component would be how we are going to analyze the records. I'm expecting that you have already seen our first workshop. If you have not seen the first workshop, I will put a link for our first workshop here, so you can see and you can check how we can create this Excel sheet for systematic literature review. And today we are going to work on the Microsoft Excel sheet, which we have already exported in the past class, last section. So I will try to give you some tools, techniques, and tips how we can present different results. Okay, so this is the part of our today's session. And the third, the most important part, is basically literature classification, how we classify the literature and how we can get this different type of literature classification, and then we can find out the gaps and we can find out the limitations on existing literature. And finally, we need to provide future agenda. And the final point of today's workshop would be, I will tell you what are the advanced methods in systematic literature review and meta-analysis, what are the techniques available, and we will have maybe another session for advanced systematic literature review and meta-analysis. So next maybe we can do on meta-analysis and then advanced meta-analysis and bibliometric analysis. So these are 4 major outcomes for today's session. So I hope everyone would be with me, and if you have any query, any question, you can just ask me and you can write question. Okay, let me just briefly overview the past session. We discussed the systematic literature review paper format. Okay, and we discussed major 5 components, and the first one was the introduction part. And I did discuss in that workshop in introduction part, we need to divide that introduction into 3 subcomponents and then write each of that component separately. So that component, each component or subcomponent should be dealt separately. So we are going to write introduction in components. I hope everybody who already attended that workshop, they are very clear and they have already practiced it. And then we learn about the methodology. We work on Prisma framework. So we worked on the Prisma framework, which is basically we develop keywords, we develop inclusion and exclusion criteria, and then we try to extract records. Okay, this is what we have already done in our past workshop. Now we need to start with interpretation and results. How we can present our results, how we can work with our data which we have already exported in Excel sheet. So today mostly work would be done on Excel sheet. Okay, so which we already extracted in previous session. If you have not seen that part, you can link. I will provide you link. You can see my previous video and learn how we can extract data from different websites, especially from Scopus database and Web of Science and other databases. So let's move. So we will learn results and interpretations of our data, and then how we can write, what are the basic components of writing conclusion, how we can map existing literature to find out the gaps, and then from those gaps we need to provide the future agenda. So this is a very brief systematic literature review paper format. So we need to follow these steps, and I think we have already done first 2 sections, so everyone is very clear on it. If any question regarding that, you can write in the comments. Okay, let's move. Before starting to result and interpretation, I will just move back to our previous workshop, and a very important question. Many scholars, they ask me how we can extract data from Google Scholar and how we can create Excel sheet without spending a lot of time. So I tried to find out different ways, but most of those ways were not working. But finally I had some idea, and I tried to figure out how we can do that, and I will tell you how we can figure out how we can extract the data from Google Scholar. So please, you need a software for this. Usually everybody is using this. You need to install Mendeley Web Importer, the first thing. Maybe we can work with EndNote and other bibliometric or referencing software, but still I practice it with the Mendeley. So you can use Mendeley Web Importer. So please, you install Mendeley Web Importer. If you install this, you will see an icon here. This is your Mendeley Web Importer in your Chrome. So you can add this extension to Chrome. If you see, it is already available on my Mendeley website, so on my Google Chrome. So if you want to download it, you can just directly download Mendeley. It is a free software, and you can create your own profile, and also you can install Mendeley Web Importer. Okay, so let's start. Now you are ready. If you have already done with the Mendeley, you have already using Mendeley, that would be easier for you. If you are not using Mendeley, I will tell you the very simple steps. You just follow those simple steps, and then we see how we can move on. Let's say I'm just going to open a Google Scholar here. The first thing, you need to write any word. Let's say I work with the sustainable manufacturing. So if you write sustainable manufacturing, and you see there are a lot of options available, but we need to reduce the data, because if you search on the Google, you see there are thousands of the records that are available on the Google Scholar, because it's it can give you all data available on any website or anywhere. So what we need to do, because it's work like a search engine, it is not like a database, it's more like a search engine. So that's why you will find a lot of material. So we need to reduce that material and we need to scrutinize. If you can see on the right side, you can see different years. You can divide into last 5 years or whatsoever, but there is another option. If you click on this button here on the where you can see this Google Scholar tab, if you can see here, you have advanced search options. In advanced search options, if you click on the advanced search option, you will see different options available here for refining your search or keyword. So what I want to do is basically I want to search the keyword sustainable manufacturing, but with exact phrase, not all in word. So I just use the second option, exact phrase, and then at the same time anywhere in the article, no, I just want to have this sustainable manufacturing in the title only. Okay, so I'll just click on here and see it is available in the title. Okay, so it is just getting the data from the title only. If you want to see if you have any author detail, you can put here, or if you want to customize the range, the years from 2000 to 2000, let's say from 2000 to 2019. So it will give you the result only for 2000 to 2017. So now I have already refined my result, but there is one more limitation in Google Scholar. It will give you only 10 records, only 10 results in one screen. So what you need to do, again, you need to go to the settings this time, and then you can change here to 20 records for Google. So now if you save it, the Google will give you, Google Scholar will give you 20 records on one page. Now it is easier for me to import or export this type of data because the 20 is okay. So, but obviously you need to do it page by page. Let me show you the method and then we can move on. So is it clear? Everybody is with me here? Can you type if it is clear, or if any question? Okay, now next step is you need to click on this Mendeley importer, web importer. Okay, if you see, it will give me all the records. Okay, you can see now it have already given me all records available on this page. So what I need to do, I need to select all, and I need to give a folder where I want to save it. So I have already created one folder in Mendeley which is named as SLR workshop. So I just click here and then click add. So all my records have already been exported to Mendeley now. Okay, once the record is already available, I can go to Mendeley. I have to just open the Mendeley, and now if you see here, I have this SLR workshop. So I just need to click on this synchronize button, and now you can see all my records from Google Scholar is already available here. But there is one very important step you need to follow. The first, you need to select all these records, right click there, and then you have to update the details. Okay, again let me tell you, right click, update details, and now it will bring all the abstracts and all data from the website for each record. Now if you can click and you can see here, you have abstract, you have all the pages, numbers, keywords, website, and everything is already available here. Okay, now our data is already within the Mendeley now. The next step is to export it and export it to Excel sheet. So you need to select all, just click and then right click and then export. Okay, publish or perish gives only 200 results. Yes, similarly, like somebody asked here, why if we have only 200 records. Yes, if you have 200 records, you can do it in multiple times. You can export first 200 and then you can export another 200. So like similarly with the Web of Science, if you work with the Web of Science, they will allow you to export only 500 records. Okay, so not all websites or not all databases will allow you to export all at once. So you need to do it in batches, in 1, 2 or 3 times. Okay, so you can repeat this process as many times you want to do it. So through that you can just export your records complete, and then you can combine those sheets. In Web of Science, I created, like if I have 2000 records and only 500 I can export for the first time, I'll just export first 500 in first sheet, then 500 01 to 1000, and then so on. And then later on I will just merge all these sheets. Okay, now what you need to do is, once you are done with this part, you have already click on export button, then you will see another window on Mendeley. Let me show you. Okay, this is the window. Here you can see it is options are available. If you want to export, the options are available: BibTeX, RIS, and EndNote XML. So you need to export it in XML file. So once you export this document into XML file, you can open it in Microsoft Excel. So once you are done with this, now it is time. We have already exported this document. So let's go to Excel sheet, any Excel sheet. Just click to the file and then click at import button. Okay, and in import button you can just click on HTML file and give the link to that file to your database. Okay, so if you have downloaded here, you just give the link of that sheet. Once you give the link and click OK, the data will be exported to Microsoft Excel. So this is how you can do your research in a very good way. If from any database, it is not required you need to work with the Scopus only. You can do it in Google Scholar or any other database. So this is the tip for those who don't have access to the internet or to the Scopus or any other databases. I hope this will work for all of us, and we can create our own Excel sheets. Why Excel sheets are very important, why I focus on exporting all result to Excel sheet, because it allows us to represent our result in many different ways. The possibilities are beyond our expectation. So I will show you some of these different techniques, but mostly we need to work and we need to learn. We need to try and different options, and we can learn more and more options. So let's focus on this now. So today's work, we are going to start with this Excel sheet we have already exported, and now we need to see how we can interpret the result. So I hope everyone have already have their Excel sheets with you. If you don't have any Excel sheet, I have already provided the link in the description. You can download and you can practice with me now. It's okay. I've already provided all the material. Okay, let's move. Now results, you can do the results in many different ways, but there are two major classifications or categories of data analysis in systematic literature review. The first one is the very important one, that is descriptive analysis. Your frequency distribution, the record, the paper distribution over the year, the paper distribution over the topic, over the country, or many other types are available for this. But descriptive analysis is very important in conducting any form of systematic literature review, and this is common in all systematic literature review. So this part, if you learn it, you can apply it on all systematic literature review paper, no matter you are writing meta-analysis or you are writing systematic literature review or you are writing advanced levels of bibliometric analysis or meta-analysis with structural equation. You can use these descriptive analysis on all types of systematic literature review, and it will give your paper a very good value addition, very good representation. Okay, so let's see. I will give you some of the example and we'll try to do it on Excel also. And the second component is literature classification. So now this is a tricky part, and this is where your actual intellectual work is being done. You need to classify the literature available, or literature available in the Excel sheet, or literature available on your specific research question. So this is where you are going to answer your research question. You remember we asked for research question. From research question, I had some question, the queries. Some people, they said either we should use only one construct at a time or one relationship. Why not we can use multiple constructs or multiple relationship? Okay, the answer is because we cannot do the literature analysis in many directions. It will not give you a clear vision where you are going if you include many variables and many relationships. One variable or one relationship is fair enough to start with. Once you learn the systematic literature review, you can play with and you can create your own ways of doing systematic literature reviews and different types of analysis. But for learning point of view, for clarity, you should focus on one variable at a time, one construct or one experiment at a time, or a relationship between two. Let's say there are two groups and we are trying to see the treatment A and treatment B. That is okay, because mostly in medicine we have this different treatments for different people, and then we can compare with them. That is okay if we are focusing on one relationship. But we cannot add multiple options at one time and then we can just focus on some part. That would be very difficult for us, because we cannot have outcome or maybe takeaway or maybe the future recommendation. It would be very difficult. You will learn how we can do that. But my advice to all of those who are starting systematic literature review for the first time, you must focus on one variable or one relationship at a time. Okay. So there are two categories I explained to you. The first is descriptive analysis, the other is literature classification. Now we are already having our Excel sheet with us, and then we need to see how we can do with the descriptive analysis. Descriptive analysis, there are major 4 or 5 categories. The first, year-wise, the frequency or the distribution of the article based on the number of years. Okay, that is year-wise. Same we can do with the journal. With the journal, we can say, okay, how many journals have how many articles. So journal-wise classification or distribution of records or distribution of research article is also one of the very good method of displaying your result. And then you can focus on country-wise. If you are focusing on one country, then for sure you cannot display this result. But let's say if you are focusing on some specific region, ASEAN region, Asia, you can have other regions. So then you can display your result into countries also, or if you are taking all countries, it is better to show your result based on the countries. And then the number of citation any article is received. So article, obviously this is the best parameter to find out the quality of an article. If any article is receiving higher number of citation, it means that that article is valuable and you can consider this article for your data analysis. And if you have larger number of data set and let's say 3000 or 4000 studies, this is one of the parameter you can reduce your data. Let's say I don't want to take any article which have not been cited yet, or I don't want to take any article which has minimum 10 number of citations. So any article less than 10, I will drop it from my selection list or my inclusion list. So that is another criteria to show your result. And then different databases. If you use different databases, you have Science Direct, you have Scopus, you have Web of Science, Abesco, PubMed, or all these. If you are using all those websites, so you need to categorize. It is better to provide descriptive analysis of these websites, okay, on each database, how many articles you extracted. So that is another very good way of showing your result. And the final, the subject area. Maybe you consider your area is management, but when you search management, you will find out the answers in all fields, because the research is very much multidisciplinary or transdisciplinary nowadays. So you need to categorize your articles in terms of subject area. Let's say engineering, let's say management, let's say business and management, let's say medical. So you can find out the result and show your result based on your specified area. So that is a brief description of descriptive analysis. How we can do this, I'll just show you this in a while. We just need to use our Excel sheet and we try to conclude this set. Now next session, let's say how we can distribute the year wise. If you see, I can show you this very beautiful graph, the research article distribution over the year. So if you include this in your research article, that will give a very good display, presentation, or value addition to your article. So that's why you need to, or you must try to include these type of different frequency distribution parameter. Let me show you how we can do that. But before that, we need to understand we have our Excel sheet. This is the Excel sheet I exported, and we have all the data related to our search. And now at the end we have abstracts and other information. Okay. Now what I did, I added few of these yellowish and the brownish. The brownish one is we need them when we are doing this meta-analysis, but for systematic literature review only the yellow ones are required. But obviously this is my description, you can change based on your own requirement. What are these yellow columns? I will explain it to you in a while, because this is we are going to use in our classification of literature. This is basically how I classified the literature. Although it is not true, because I just created this dummy example, but this is how we need to do it. This is the exact form of this classification. We'll discuss on the classification a little bit later, but for now let me show you how you can create the graphs easily with one click, because we have this data now and we have already exported in Excel sheet. Now once you have already exported in Excel sheet, the options are very interesting. There is an option, if you go to insert column in your Excel sheet, here you click on the insert, and then you will see this pivot chart. Okay, so this pivot chart, you just click here, it will give you the option of all your data. Now your all database is already available here, and you can create any form of graph, any form of table, any form of cross tabulation also. I will show you advanced level also. Let's see first we start with the first thing, how we can create a table or a graph with respect to frequency distribution with respect to year. So just click here, the year, and then bring this to x-axis. Now if you see here, it is already created. Very simple graph is already created. Okay, so we don't need to do a lot of work, but remember here, if you see, it is written sum of the year, but it is not sum of the year. If you double click on it, we just need to take count, because we are interested in to see how many articles per year. So just with the little bit amendments, we have already produced our first graph. Similarly, you can produce citations, you can produce any number of graphs from this pivot table. This pivot table is very important tool available in your Excel sheet. So Excel, that's why it is very important. So please bring your sheet, and then you just click on this pivot table, click on insert button, then pivot table, then your sheet is here. You have this pivot table field. Just click on the number of years and bring it to values, and then drag and drop it to rows. So you can see the result is very obvious there. You can see your graph is already constructed. Okay, clear? So it's very simple. It's very simple method. So any question on it? Is it clear? Okay, if you have any question, you can just write down, so we can answer this question. Okay, let's move on. Now we have this Excel sheet. We have already extracted our first result, and you can see in your slides. This is the number of year distribution you can display in your research article. Okay, similarly, you can show your number of journal, the articles or records you have extracted from the databases based on the different journals. So this is how this table will be look like, and you can just extract this table to your Excel sheet. You can just extract from Excel sheet. Then we can have the country base similar. Then we can have the citation based. We can have different types of frequency distribution tables. Okay, so I hope everyone understands this concept and you can apply it. Let me tell you once more. You need to export all your result in Excel sheet. Then from Excel sheet, you need to click on the insert button. From the insert, you can see here it is available, this pivot chart. I have already given it in your slides, so you can check here also. So pivot chart is already available. Once you click on the pivot chart, you can go to these options. The options are available. Now you will see this type of screen. Okay, now this screen, you are able to customize any form of charts or tables here. You can work easily. Let's say we can create another with the citations. Okay, let's say cited by. This is the one cited by. Let's say I just drag and drop it here, and you can see it is already giving me the citations, and this is the tables. Okay, so this is very simple yet very strong tool you can use in your research. Remember, it is not always your writing that counts in your research publication. The presentation of your result is very important. Yes, the writing is important also, but if you have very good presentation of your result and somehow you lack your writing, maybe they can consider you and they can give you improvements for writing and consider your paper for publication. So reviewers, because you know your paper is just like your product. Why people are interested to read your work? If you add these type of small or little touches, you can make your work more interesting, and the people, they can understand it very clearly. So tables, figures, and graph will help you to maybe the possibility of your acceptance is higher if you use these all types of tables and charts. Okay, let's say next step. Now, very important part, I would like to take some time here. That's why I just quickly finish the descriptive analysis part, because in descriptive analysis you have a lot of options and you can create a lot of tables and figures from Excel sheet. If you learn this method, especially with the pivot table, you can use all types of graphs and charts. But here, literature classification, it is a little bit tricky part, and mostly your intellectual work is being done here. This will tell you how much you understand the work you are doing, how much you are clear about your work, and how much you are clear about your area. So let's see what types of, I'll give you some examples how you can do this, but this is not all. In different field, implication of this literature classification is different. In engineering, maybe you are more focused on your methods. In management or social sciences, we are more focused on our theoretical development. In some other cases, you are more on your experimentation. So you need to understand your work very clearly, and then you can classify it. But still, for starting point, I can give you some different methods. And these methods you can apply on your research and try to publish your work. These are very simple methods and simple tricks to make your paper more interesting. So literature classification, first you can classify your literature based on the method the researcher have used. Let's say method A, method B, or method C, maybe qualitative, quantitative, mixed method, review, or any type of interview or data collection in different methods. Or maybe experimental design, maybe lab experiment, or maybe lab setting. So this is how you can classify your literature based on the method. Okay. The second one, you can create the differentiation based on the treatment. Let's say you have medical sciences studies. Mostly you can create differentiation based on the different treatments from different research. Okay, that is also a very good method. Now, next method, maybe you can work on the relationship with the different constructs, whether it is positive, negative, neutral, mediator, moderator, or any types of relationship. Maybe there is a particular relationship of heartbeat with a particular medicine. So you can study that, whether this relationship is consistent or not, whether this relationship is positive or negative, whether there is no effect. So all these types you can understand. So this is the third classification you can use in your research. Then the contextual one. Maybe I'm interested in studies only in Malaysia and Indonesia, the comparison. Or maybe I'm just focusing on Malaysia. Or maybe I'm just focusing on different countries. So that is something we need to understand and we need to work. The contextual one. And then very important, the conceptualization. Maybe in some cases we have different types of constructs, and different constructs, they behave differently and they have been developed over the year. So that's why it is very important to understand how we can work with this construct conceptualization. So we can draw our construct and try to see whether it has been started the development since day one or no. For example, let me give you a very practical example. My area is sustainable manufacturing. When it started, mostly it was started from the environmental scientists. So mostly environmental scientists, they included only environmental protection in it. But sustainability, the concept of sustainability is not only to protect environment, but to society and economy also. Later on, the social scientists, they say no. The environmental scientists, they just focusing on environment too much. What about the society? What about the people? Not just the planet, but the people is also part of this sustainability. Then they included people. And finally, the industrialists, they asked, why not the economy? Without economy, nothing can be survived. So it should be sustainable economy also. So sustainability, the concept of sustainability is not just environment now, but it have developed over the year, and there are three different components, and we call it triple bottom line. Now, similar to this, you need to understand the construct you are looking at. It has been developed over the year. So you can start from day one, or maybe 1980s till 2020, and tell us the historical development of that particular construct. So that is also another part. But how we are going to do it, I'll show you in a while. And then the theoretical development, the theory, which theories have been used, and how we can differentiate among the theories. Now, this part, let me just go back to the Excel sheet now. Now, this is my Excel sheet. Now we understand about the classification. So everybody is clear on this classification now. So what we need to do is, we need to read this abstract and try to figure out whether what type of theory this article has used, what was the sample size, what was the methodology, what was the setting, whether this was done in particular country, in lab setting or in different settings. Okay, so this is how we need to understand our mechanism for, especially for literature classification. So what you need to do is, you need to create these columns based on your understanding. It can be methodology, it can be sampling, it can be context, it can be theory, it can be experiments, or it can be any form. But this information you can collect if you can read this information very simply. Okay, if you read this abstract, you can collect this information. But if some papers it is not available, then you need to go to the article and see. But most of the cases you can get this information from the abstract, so no need to read full article. But once you have this problem, you cannot assess, then you can go with the full article reading and skim that data and fill up these columns. Okay, once you have these columns, as I mentioned earlier, then you can extract this as a your here in terms of graph, in terms of tables, in terms of different opinions. Okay, so you can use this Excel pivot table, and you can use, let me show you what I did. I just developed this one based on the methodological distribution. Okay, so based on the methodological distribution, you can see that we have qualitative, we have quantitative, we have different review papers, and we have mixed method research. So this is the distribution of the article based on different types of methodologies. So this is how you can display your result. But at the same time, now this is the part of your paper where you need to describe these papers. From these papers, you need to highlight few of their findings. For example, person A, he have done a qualitative work, and his finding was this, for example. And then at the same time, person B have the qualitative, but his opinion is different from the previous one, and then he argued that. So this is how you try to create the debate in the literature using this methodology. But at the same time, you display this result in the form of graph and table in your results. Okay, similar, we can develop something based on the theory. So you can see the different article based on the theory. So I can say that in the sustainable manufacturing, mostly people, they work on the assessment model, fuzzy logic, and manufacturing organization and hybrid technology. So theory of planned behavior, sustainability evaluation, all these are different theories. They work with sustainable manufacturing. Okay, so now I am discussing about the theories, but at the same time I am trying to display them in terms of graphs and charts. But at the same time, here I have to explain this in my result. Okay, person A have this opinion, but person A use different theory because of any reason, or different treatment because of any reason, different medicine because of any treatment. Okay, so this all debate should be map the literature from beginning of your literature review. So since beginning you need to explain or you need to map your literature. Okay. Now I hope this section is very clear. In the results, we are here for descriptive analysis, and then we have already done with the literature classifications. I hope everybody understand that. Okay. Now let's move to the advanced options. Okay, advanced options allow you to use cross tabulations. So cross tabulation is very important part. What you can do is you can create something using your Excel sheet. You can create cross tabulations. So cross tabulation is basically okay. So cross tabulation is like you can use multiple graphs at the same time. You can change the rows and columns. Okay. In the previous example, I told you you can use just frequency and the number of years. But now it is not frequency and number of the years. We can play with this. We can have different articles and we can see how much is the citation of each journal in the different year every year. Okay, so this we can use cross tabulation. The cross tabulation also possible through Excel. Now here I just explained the year-wise citation through the cross tabulation. If you can see every article, we can see on this particular subject, the sustainable manufacturing, the work was initially done, started from 1999, but later on in 2007, 8, and then the curve goes up, and at the 2017, 18, and 19, the citation are going down. So the popularity of this work has been increased over the year, and it is normally distributed. Nowadays it may be the concept is changed and then new concepts are coming in. That's why this work is not being cited as compared to 2013, 14, 17 up till 17. So this is the simple comparison I can do with the cross tabulation. So this cross tabulation option is also a very good option. So you can just work on and find out this and put in your analysis part. Okay, so this is the cross tabulation. Let's move to the next part. So cross tabulation we can just use for citations and two different analysis. Now let me show you one more example. Now let's see, I'm focusing on one theory. Okay, you can see here, let's say I'm comparing these two theories in 5 years. Which theory has been used more and which theory has been used less. So this is also can be done with the cross tabulation. If you can see, I use data from 2016 to 2019 and from 2016 to 2019 for theory B. So that is also another example of your cross tabulation. You can use this cross tabulation and you can create this. By doing this, you can compare 2 or 3 theories. So that is how we can do the classification, method based, comparison, citation based. So we can use or we can play with so many things. But at the same time, you need to refer to some highly cited paper and put their result and explain their result in your classification. Okay. From here, what I learned is I'm trying to map the literature. I'm trying to see what literature is saying since past 5 year or 10 year or maybe 20 year or 25 year. I saw some literature reviews. They claim that they have done 100 years of systematic literature review. So that is up to you how many years you take, and then you can compare different results and see the research stream. So you can analyze different research streams in a very good way by doing this. Okay, so that is how we can explain different result in our analysis part. Okay, with this I think the analysis part is very clear. You can do this very simple way by utilization of Microsoft Excel. But remember, at the same time you have to refer back to some of the original article and tell them this article is saying this, but at the contrary, or in the support maybe other researchers are saying same argument or different argument. So you need to construct your argument in a way that try to map the literature based on theory, based on method, based on other classification criteria I mentioned, or you can create your own classification criteria depending on your subject and area of expertise. This is where you can work in a very particular way. Okay. Now let's move to the final part, the conclusion and future recommendation. The conclusion. Remember, conclusion, what you need to write is, it is a summary of what you have done in your complete paper. So first you need to map the literature. The mapping literature or existing literature is very important. You need to tell what work have already done. So in that way you try to write something starting from day one. Let's say 1981 the concept was started, and then the concept has been improved over the year, the way I told you about the sustainable manufacturing. So you can write on your own area. Let's try to map the literature. Highlight the limitation, very important. Now highlight the limitation. Every work has some limitation. For example, I told you the environmental scientists, they coined this term sustainability with respect to the environment. But there was some limitation on this concept because only the environment was under consideration, but the people and planet was, people and economy was largely ignored. So this is the limitation on first thing. Then the other people, they try to explain, okay, we need to include the second concept and then the third concept, and that is the way how you can just try to highlight the limitation on existing literature. Okay. Next one is basically you need to identify the gaps. What are the key areas which have not been covered yet? Very important. So okay, now the triple bottom line is clear. So where is the future? What do you see? What has not been covered in the past literature? That is where your research question is. Okay, so you need to write on the identifying the gaps. So try to identify the different gaps, maybe 2, 3, and then these gaps would be your future agenda. So you try to fill up these gaps, and these gaps can act like a future agenda for the future researcher. So that is how you construct your literature review article very easily. Okay, so the future agenda is basically the gaps you highlighted in the conclusion part. You need to write on that, okay, these areas have not been covered yet, so it is required by the future researcher to do some efforts and do some work on these areas, and then we can move on. So this is how we can write a very basic systematic literature review paper. Okay, now I think I have already completed all these 6 parts. Now very important thing is improvement, the continuous improvement. So if you cannot improve, you cannot grow. Improvement is very important in terms of writing, in terms of segregation of your result, in terms of display of your result, in terms of writing, all those. But improvement in systematic literature review process, I have created a 5-step method. So you follow those steps. When you complete the research article, before submission, you try to apply this mechanism and try to improve your result. The first thing, search strategy. All the time, you can improve your search strategy. Okay, right? We can use Google, we can use Scopus, we can use other mechanism. Now remember, there is no limitation for research. If you have any problem, it is your responsibility to find out the solution. The way I told you, many people, they were asking about the Google Scholar or any other website. So I try to create some solutions. I try to find out the way where we can improve our search strategy and try to bring it to Excel sheet. So similar approach everybody should use. Once you have any problem, you try to improve, you try to find out the way. Similarly with this search strategy, you just not focus on Scopus, you just not focus on Web of Science. You can see or inquire other options also. But remember, for the first time, try to make it minimum. Once you write one paper and try to improve again and again. Okay. Then the second one, inclusion and exclusion criteria. You can always play with inclusion and exclusion criteria. Maybe you can restrict the number of years, you can restrict the number of countries, you can restrict other options. So inclusion and exclusion criteria is always there. So you can improve it and you can redefine your inclusion and exclusion criteria. Always try to rethink, because this is the rethinking part. Rethink whether my inclusion exclusion criteria is okay. Shall I improve it? I should do another way, or can I improve inclusion criteria? So this is how you ask yourself and try to improve. The third step, extraction techniques. Data extraction techniques, there are very different data extraction techniques are available. For example, Scopus, it allows you to you export in CSV file, very simple. But other databases may not be giving you this opportunity. So you need to use different options. By utilizing different options, you will find out how you can extract more and more accurate data. So by doing this again and again, you can learn more about the data extraction. So again, once you complete your paper, try to see whether this data extraction is fine, or I can add or remove some paper. So data extraction would be your third part in improvement. And the choices of analysis. In this particular workshop, I gave you so many different options. If you follow 2 or 3 of them, you can write your paper very easily. Very easily. I don't think so there is any difficulty for writing a basic systematic literature review paper by looking at these options and by trying these options. But these options, not all. They are not all. There are many other options. The possibilities are endless. You can find out different ways and you try to figure out different options by trial and error, by thinking and by practicing new and new options. So don't hesitate to experience or to try new things, okay? That will give you a very, I think maybe it is a very confident thing to do experimentation, but it will give you some added value in your paper, and also it will give confidence of doing new experimentation. So please try to see whether you can just focus on those analysis I told you, or you can create your own ways, or you can see some different research articles, especially the systematic literature review part. If you see different articles, you can find out how different researchers are doing new analysis techniques, and you can learn some more. And finally, the presentation and dissemination of your result. Very important. Once you write your paper, it is very important to present and to disseminate or to publish your work. That is important. So try to disseminate into different journals, different types of articles, different platform, blogs, everywhere, Google. And now we have this preprint option, so you can also use that options to disseminate your research work. So once you write, please try to find out a way to disseminate that work. Okay, the most important part is publication. Yes, if we publish, although we are publishing and we are disseminating, but sometimes even though we publish, but we are not disseminating, we are not sharing our research with other platforms. You can use this Publons, you can use this ResearchGate, you can use other mechanism, but try to make this a habit to share your knowledge as much as you can, because the research visibility is very important in nowadays research. So that is how you can improve your systematic literature review writing. Okay, so I hope I have already cleared many of these questions which were asked to me in the past few days. So hopefully everyone have already received the answer. Now, what is the future? Now, once you write first basic systematic literature review, I'll try to create some time, maybe in future after 1 month or maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we will go with the meta-analysis, bibliometric analysis and advances. There are different types of advances in systematic literature review paper. The first, very simple, is bibliometric analysis. You can use software, Vios, Sitespace, SJR, all these options are available there. You can use these option or software to write and add bibliometric analysis in your systematic literature review. Okay, but in medical science, the most important part of your systematic literature review and then extension is meta-analysis. You need to compare the result, whether this particular medicine is good enough for people to take care of any particular disease. So you need to see the historical result and their findings. The results that can be done through meta-analysis. In the meta-analysis, we try to calculate the effect size by utilization of correlations between the variables or between the subjects and regression analysis. So all these analysis, if we want to do the meta-analysis, similar sheet, the Excel sheet you can use, which we have created, but in that sheet you need to add the results. So you need to collect the correlation table, very important correlation table, and the sample size for each of these studies. So meta-analysis, that's why it is considered at the advanced level, where we have some difficulties in finding out the literature and papers. Every paper we need to find out, and then we need to find out the correlation table. But that is the advances in systematic literature review. And other thing is, now we are using structural equation modeling for meta-analysis. Very commonly used software is R, and then we have other softwares. I'll try to teach you all this software also, but we will see how the feedback of the participants, if everybody is willing to learn more, I'll try to create another workshop, and we'll find out the way when we can share our next workshop also. But that would be on meta-analysis, and we will try to see different software for meta-analysis, especially meta-analysis using structural equation, using R and M+. And finally, multi-level meta-analysis. Nowadays, it is bit difficult, but once you learn meta-analysis and meta-analysis using structural equation, you can use multi-level meta-analysis simply. Okay, so these are 4 different workshops for future. I will try to find out time and try to see how we can learn these all 4 different workshops in the future. Okay, I hope so everyone is clear and you have learned something new today. Please like our page, Facebook page, so we can stay connected. And if you have completed your research work, you can email us. I will try to share email ID here, and you can email your research article, and we can try to review and we can publish it. We also have provided you all the slides and the template of Excel sheet, so you can use that. Our Connecting Asia TV is our YouTube channel. At the same time, my personal channel is Dr. IQ, so you can subscribe to these channels to stay updated. I hope everybody is here, and if there is any question, you can write. I can wait for your question. If you have any question, you can just write. Otherwise, we can just close this. Okay, one of my very good old friend, he asked me, can you kindly provide an example of Prisma method paper as an example? Okay, what I'll do, I'll try to share some very good systematic literature review paper in the folder which I've already shared in the description. So you just log into that folder. I'll try to share this tomorrow. So you can find out day after tomorrow, you can just download these few papers. So I'll give you some papers related to Prisma framework. Okay. Can you help me to ask questions?
Yes. Sir, how can extract conceptual framework on the basis of literature?
Okay, conceptual framework basically in conceptual framework, there are multiple variables involved in the conceptual framework. So you can just focus on relationship to relationship. If you want to do with this multi-construct conceptual framework, you have to go with the multi-level systematic literature review, where you need to repeat this process for multiple times. Okay, I have few very good examples of extracting this framework from the systematic literature review. I'll try to share it with you, and hopefully I will download it in the folder so you can copy there. But it is a bit difficult part. But first I will suggest you to write a simple literature review and then go with the multi-level, because in this we need to find out the intervention. Let's say we have one dependent variable, then we have moderator, then we have mediator, and then we have independent variable, for example. So all these are different types of intervention in one variable. So what we can do, we can find out one variable, and then we can see what are the precedent, means that this variable have been studied with the multiple different constructs or variables, and there are multiple variables which have been affected by these this construct. So mean that there are precedents or there are antecedents, there are predecessors and there are postdecessors. So you just need to use that to create your framework. It is a tedious job, it's not simple, but we can create it for sure. But you need a lot of practice to do this, creating a systematic framework for that.
Sir, Neetu Sharma asked a question. Please clear if you this literature classification is also done with the pivot chart RNs.
Yes, most of this work I have shown you today, it is done by the pivot chart. So you can use this pivot chart to display your result. But remember, displaying is one thing, but you need to explain these results also. So you select 5 or 6 different very good or maybe highly cited paper and try to refer them. Okay, person A, his paper is cited extensively. He shows that this construct is based on these concept, and then you go with the second option. But alternatively, other people they have added or removed because of this limitation. So you just need to create a story around your analysis. I can just give you examples, but at the end of the day, literature classification is largely dependent on your choice, how you can do that.
Sir, there's a question, Chaitra from India. It's necessary to have the full paper, or using the abstracts we can do the systematic review?
Okay, we can do systematic literature review by utilization of abstracts. No, there is no problem, because I have already explained to you from step 1 to step end. All these steps are very clear, and I have not used any full paper up till now. But remember, this is the presentation of result. Still you need to study some of these good papers where you can cite them and you can refer them into your writing. That is very important. But mostly when we are dealing with some particular subject, over the year or maybe with the practice, we already know many of those researchers which are very good in that area, and we can refer them easily. So I don't think so you need to spend a lot of time in just reading. Systematic literature review, the good thing is it is more about doing something. So try to develop your construct. If your research question is very clear, it means that you can go with the flow very easily, and you can use only abstracts to write your systematic literature review paper. But if your knowledge is at intermediary or initial or infancy stage, you can just focus on writing some reading some paper, and then you can develop some knowledge, and then you can write. But for now, I think with the abstract you can write a very good literature review paper. There is no issue.
And there are many participants asking questions that how we can publish paper in your journal.
Okay, for our journal publication, we will post this email ID at the description. You can just email us your research article. Once we receive your research article, we will try to review and give you suggested journals as soon as possible. So complete your paper and try to submit it, because once you give us the submission of systematic literature review paper, we'll issue you one a certificate of completion for a systematic literature review training course. So that is another addition. So you can just send us your paper once you complete, and then we can work on. So we will give you some reviews, we'll try to correct it, and then we can publish it in the journal. The email ID we will share here, and we will also share on our Facebook page, and we will also email you that email ID. You can share with us your full paper. Okay. Okay, I hope so. Things are okay, and everybody is learning in this situation. I think we should close now, and I must say, please stay safe, stay home, take care of yourself, your friends and family, and have a nice day, and see you soon, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Bye.